Meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen zur
Ladies and
Pressekonferenz der
gentlemen, a very
67.
warm welcome to the press
Filmfestspiele
conference
im
of the
Wettbewerb.
67th
Wir
International
freuen
Film
uns ganz herzlich,
Festival
den Film
Screening
On
and
the Beach at Night
Competition.
Alone zu
We are
begrüßen.
looking forward to
Wir beginnen
welcoming the
unsere
crew of
Vorstellung
On the Beach at
eben auf
Night,
der
and we
anderen
will
Seite
start
bei
our
einem
presentation
Mann,
on
der
the
ganz
other
vielfältig
side
an diesem Film
with
mitgearbeitet hat. Als
another man who's been
Schauspieler,
working
als
very hard on this
Assistant
film
Director
as
bei
an
der
actor,
Produktion geholfen und er
as a
wird uns bestimmt
director
dazu
who
eine
helped
Menge
with the
erzählen
production.
können.
I'm sure he
Herzlich
could tell us a
willkommen,
lot
Mark
about it.
Parenson.
Welcome, Mark Parenson.
2013 war er das
In
letzte Mal hier im Wettbewerb
2013,
mit
he
Nobody's Daughter
was
gewonnen.
at the film festival
2006 hatte er einen
last
Film mit einem
time.
ähnlichen
In
Titel,
competition
Woman on the Beach, im
2006, he had
Panorama gehabt.
another
Herzlich willkommen,
film similar title to
Regisseur
Woman on the Beach. Let's
Sang-soo.
welcome the director, Sang-soo.
An seiner Seite die Hauptdarstellerin
And with
des
him
Films in der
is
Rolle
the
der Jungen.
main
Herzlich willkommen,
actress,
Kim
Kim Min-hee.
Annyeonghaseyo. Und neben mir der
And
Kameramann
next
und
to
auch in
me
einer kleinen
is
Rolle
the
zu
director
sehen, Park
of
Hong-yeol.
photography, who also has a small role in the film, Park Hong-yeol.
Bevor wir die Fragen an das
Before
Publikum
we
gehen,
start
vielleicht eine Frage kurz an
asking
Sie,
the
Hong
audience to
Sang-soo.
ask
Welche
questions, very briefly a question
Faszination
to the
hat der
director.
Strand für Sie?
What is the fascination that a beach has for you? Because you keep coming back to the beach.
maybe I prefer sea to mountain. 그냥 그래서 한국 사람도 그런 말 잘 물어보거든요. 너는
Well, that's a question I'm asked very frequently. Do you prefer the sea or do you prefer the mountains? And I always tell people I prefer the sea.
Frage an der rechten Seite, bitte.
Another question on the right-hand side, please.
Ja, ganz hinten.
Yeah, right at the end.
Hello, good morning here in the back. Patricia Battje, Norddeutscher Rundfunk. Warum gefällt Ihnen Hamburg so
Why
gut, dass
is
Sie sagen,
it
es ist
that
die
you like
schönste
Hamburg
Stadt
so
der Welt?
much
Und
that you
warum
say
haben
it's the
Sie
most
den
beautiful city in the town? And why did you screen in the winter?
옆에 있는 마크가 그런 말을 해줬습니다. 제가 거기 함부르크에 갔을
Michael
때
told me that when I was in Hamburg, this is the one city which is perhaps, according to all sorts of surveys, the one where people most like living.
When I was in Hamburg, I met him and he told me that Hamburg was once selected as the first city, whatever, where the most German people wants to live. That's what I heard from Mark.
That's true. I told him that. I don't know if it's true. No, it is true. I mean, I should also say that, you know, we know each other before, and at a certain point, we were speaking, and he wanted to shoot something outside of Korea. So I said, he's interested in Germany. And I said, well, I can help you out if you ever need anything. And he said, okay, so we'll make something in Berlin. I said, well, I actually live in Hamburg. And he said, oh, well, Hamburg would also probably be pretty good. So then when he came over, myself and my partner, Bettina Steinbrugger, who's also in the film, and who runs the Kunstverein in Hamburg, we showed some locations and showed some parts of the cities, some of which are in the film, and other parts he sort of found by himself. And yeah, that's why most of what we did in Hamburg.
I have a question to the main actress. It was a very difficult role, and how did you feel playing it? How was it on you? Was it so destructive as you said in the part?
저는 감독님하고 작업하면서 제일 좋은 거는 항상 너무
worked with the director Hong before, but whatever we do, it's always something new and a new experience when we work with each other. And all the time, every day we did shooting, it was like something completely new. And I was always curious to see what story would emerge from the day's shooting. And I really enjoyed doing it. I was not distracted and always tried to be focused and to give it my best and to try and express what the director wanted to say. There's another question on the left.
For the director. Hi, I'm here. The characters are always talking about age. How old are you? This question always comes around, and it's about attractiveness. Do you think I'm attractive or not? And stuff like that. So is that for you the central issue of the film, and also maybe a central problem of our society, that we are so concerned with outward appearances and age that we kind of lose the ability to connect with each other? Or why did you include those dialogues in the film?
Because that's the kind of thing people talk about many times. People want to overcome the outer appearance and then try to reach the inside. But it's not always easy. We are attracted to the outer appearances and swayed by that, and sometimes make a mistake by that. But that's who we are, and it's important, the appearance. It's important to try to overcome the the illusion of appearance and then try to reach the inside. But we can never escape being attracted by the appearance.
Hello. I have three questions, one for Hong, other for Kim, and one for Park. First, Kim, your character can be the sweetest person in the world, and in the next, the most inconvenient one. I would like to know, how do you explain this change of character, and please don't tell me that it's due to the alcohol. Then Hong, I don't think since Ozu there has been a filmmaker that likes to tell a story so much around the table. How do you explain that it's so appealing to an audience, this concentration of the action during the mealtime? And then Park, why are the zoom in and zoom out so quick, please? Thank you.
I think, can you repeat the question for her? Because she couldn't really understand.
No, give it.
Kim, it was, your character is very sweet, but she can also be very frontal. And how can you explain this change of characters that she has several times along in the film?
맞아. 맨 처음에 물어봤어.
일어났는데 저 분이 하시다 말씀에.
그러니까 캐릭터가 이렇게 자꾸 굉장히 너무 스윗하다가 또 갑자기 굉장히 다른 캐릭터로 변하는 게 너무 굉장히 극단적인데 그런 게 어떻게 일어날 수 있는지 배우로서 그 얘기해주고 조크처럼 그게 술 때문에는 아니라고 아니라고 술 때문이라고 얘기하지 말라고 그렇게.
네, 술 때문 아니에요.
Well, no, it's definitely not because of the alcohol that we had these changes. When we were shooting this film, what happened is that there were some scenes, of course, where we drank alcohol, but there were so many emotions to be expressed, and to be expressed in a very subtle way. I decided that during shooting I wouldn't drink much at all anyway, because I wanted to really work on these details. I was extremely focused. I didn't drink. What was important for me was these emotional changes, which I wanted to express fast.
No, sorry. Your question?
Oh, yeah. Because I drink a lot. Meal? What kind of meal you took?
Why did you tell the story so much during the meal?
Around the table, you mean? I don't know. Maybe because I don't move around a lot. When I meet people, I usually sit and talk around the table. I don't know.
질문을 다시 한번 부탁드릴게요.
왜 줌이 이렇게 빠르니?
Well, the questions to the director of photography, could we perhaps have them repeated?
홍상수 감독님의 영화 안에서
Well, to work with director Hong means that you do a lot of zooming in and zooming out, because this is the direction he gives the camera people. As far as I'm concerned, I sort of really immersed myself in the film to such an extent that I almost did this zoom in, zoom out automatically. I can't really explain that. The zoom is different with each and every take. And in this particular film, quite often I got given the green light if that zoom happened just sort of naturally.
My name is Mahar Sigit, African Refugee News. I want to say one word in Korean, "Kombae," for this film, because it was really well done. There was something, because I'm also a bit political, but I saw in this character the new generation, that is not the generation of the war, but the generation of the, let's say, political and social crisis in Seoul. Did you think about this? Because sometimes they were lost, but they were trying to come out, especially with the kiss of two women. I don't think in Korea it's so often to see two women kissing each other, and you make this so easy and so with a lot of poetry. Can you tell us more about it, how it came?
What I do in film is not really planned out things. You know, I go to the place and I meet these actors, and I wait for the day of shooting. And then I try to open as much as I can, and something comes up to me, and I try to arrange them, you know, a certain order. That's how I work. So whatever I do in my film is not sprung from the certain purpose or objective or the aim for a certain effect. So the things you said about the female characters kissing each other, I can explain maybe, but that's not really how it works. You know, it just came out. Yeah, I can explain because she's generally pissed off with the Korean males.
Is your question now? Yes.
먼저 저 새로운 영화 만나 뵙게 돼서 반가웠고요.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for this film. And then I would like to ask two questions. When I see these films, there seems to be a lot of autobiography in it. I mean, that was the case in some of your other films as well. And in this particular project, is this an autobiography in the story? And secondly, you are criticizing society. At least it was my feeling that in many scenes you do so. Is that the right way of understanding it?
I think every director uses some of his own materials from his own life. It just depends on the director how much of it is used in his film or her film. Accidentally, I am using more of my own materials. So I can tell you that I never intended them to be autobiographical. It's just I feel that if I don't use a certain amount of material coming out of my own personal life, I feel kind of detached from the making of film. So I can do whatever I want, and it doesn't feel good. You know, I have to be obliged in certain way that, you know what I mean. You need a certain kind of intimate distance from the material you are using. But I don't try to go as far as that it actually represent or try to make an autobiographical film. So what I want is, if this is what actually happens, I try to go as close as possible, but take off just before the plane hits the ground. So that's the kind of thing I want to do. So maybe by comparing with other filmmakers' material, it may seem like autobiographical, but I have no intention it to be such autobiographical one. And what was your second question? About the statement. Yes, it is.
The second question was not just because of the autobiographical elements. I was concerned with the social critique that I thought I felt, the criticism that seems to permeate society and the way you seem to criticize society.
I have been always shy about them, even though I make them do a certain statement. So I always come up with some other kind of anti-statement or make him say something stupid right after that serious statement. So I don't have to be responsible for his statement. That's what I have been doing, because I guess making a final statement or statement of truth is for me was impossible, because any sentences, logical sentences, human being come up with cannot generalize the truth for every human being. You know, it's statement is statement. So that's what I've been doing. But there are some degrees of difference now. I think maybe from 2015, from right now, Rongden, I feel more urge or motivation to say a certain statement which has a more feeling of my own, and I don't feel shy about them. But I don't believe those statements are truth for everyone. Just I think that much I can say.
Frage bitte.
Carsten Bayer from RBB Kulturradio.
Carsten Bayer, RBB Culture Radio. I have a question to the director Sang-soo. I'm interested in the end of this first episode in Hamburg. The film is being quite realistic at the beginning, but then there seems to be a little moment of, feeling at the beach which seems surreal when the lead actor is sort of carried away. And I wondered, was that planned from the beginning, or was that a spontaneous idea, and what did you mean to tell us by that?
You understand English? Okay. We had a very few crews, and we didn't have enough actors. Park Hong-yeol is my cinematographer. He came from Seoul to shoot in Hamburg, and we are doing this testing, and then just I come up with the idea, you go up to these two female characters and ask the time. That's what I did when I was doing the test. And then when I was making the first day of shooting, or the first day of shooting, I thought that my idea was good. So I made him do that. And then later on, I used him again. You know, now this continuation was very spontaneous, continuation of using him. And after using this character twice, I had to be in some way responsible. I had to close down his the meaning of his appearance. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but a final day for the first part, I just came up with this idea. And maybe I can explain. This is also explanation came up later on. When I was making it, I was not really conscious of one objective, of one aim for effect, but it can be interpreted in many ways always. But I can explain maybe because this female character's journey is very realistic one. And I wanted to put this kind of a surreal character alongside it. So maybe make audience feel a little, make audience treated in a little different position than the usual, position-wise, this corresponding position when the audience look at the realistic film. So can look at this film in a little different position. It's vague, sounds vague, but that's the explanation I can come up with now.
Perhaps Park Hong-joo could add what his experience was like to change sides from moving from behind the camera to acting in front of it.
I'm very sorry, I was late to...
The question was for the cameraman.
네, 감독님 영화는 항상 이렇게 그
Well,
순간에 어떤
when you
우연적인
work with
것들을
director
이렇게
Hong,
포착하는 게 되게
there are
중요하다는
always
생각을
some
갖고 촬영을
accidental
하는데요.
scenes
제가
that
출연했던
appear because he's
장면도
always very
그 독일에 올
keen
때는
on
예상하지
finding
못하고 있다가 갑자기
important scenes
들어와서 그때
spontaneously. I
촬영할
didn't know
때도
even that I
항상
would go
예상치
to
못한
Germany, and then
만나면서
suddenly there was
깊은
this decision.
만났었는데 제가
And
프레임에
even
들어간
while we were
순간도
shooting the film, there
촬영할
were
때는 제가
spontaneous
하지 않고
scenes.
감독님이 했었지만
And when I
이렇게
suddenly stood in
카메라
front of the
안에서도
camera,
뭔가
it was
이상한
the
또
same
새로운
thing.
기품들을 좀 맞았던
Here I
개인적인
was,
되게
and I
좋은
felt a
경험이었습니다.
bit of an odd joy doing it. That was my personal experience.
I'm Kristin Aalen. I come from kulturkritikk.no in Norway. I often feel that Westerners have a cliché notion on how you behave in Asian, Eastern countries, and the notion is you always smile, you have to be polite, and you should not lose face. So my question is, when the lead actress behaves very impolite in my notion, how shocking is it on a scale of shocking? Is it a little bit shocking, extremely shocking, and extremely embarrassing, more than it would be in our countries?
It was directed to me. Maybe that cliche came from largely Japanese culture. Korean people are much tougher. So it's not really that surprising when you confront that kind of personality.
Your question in the back, please.
Yeah. Okay.
MBC 연예 섹션에서 왔습니다. 이번 영화에서 가장 표현하고 싶었던 것이 무엇인지.
In this film, I wonder what your main message was to be.
이번 영화에서 가장 표현하고 싶었던 게
What
무엇인지.
is the film to tell us above all? What's the meaning that this film has for you?
아까 조금 전에 okay. As I said before, I don't have one objective or one specific effect or one specific moral lesson or things like that. I don't have those kind of things when I start making film. I have material, which are the locations, weather, and the actor and actress. I try to observe them in my own way and try to combine them in a certain way and try to make something out of them. So it sounds very irresponsible, but that's how I work. So.
Mr. Hong, may I say your film is a kind of anti-story. Do you make it purposely that you don't want to tell a story in a logical way, start from the beginning to the end? It's some kind of broken fragments and fragments of feelings or something happened in the past. So this is your purpose. Actually, you don't want to tell a story in a conventional thematic way, something beginning, the climax, and the ending. This is what I have understood. Is this correct? Thank you.
When for example, if I touch or consider a certain small fragment or some material, as a person who have been grown up in this culture, I have seen so many films, so many dramas. It's almost automatically I come up with some kind of storyline, which is cliche. Life is here, and we have this artificial narrative lines, many kinds, but limited also, because life is infinite. So, but because we are trained to see life in this certain types of narrative form, so myself also, when I deal with small fragment or small material, automatically I come up with some narrative line, which is also stereotypical cliche everyone knows. The reason is because only by going through that accustomed storyline, I myself feel the pleasure. So when I make a film, I have to abstain from desire for getting a pleasure while I'm imagining the storyline. So it has been difficult, but now it's okay. So it's when I make arrangement of these details or the fragments, I don't imagine in pleasure. I just check the balance between these fragments. Each fragment has many elements inside, and I try to see this correspondence between these elements and try to see the balance. Sometimes I make more balanced, sometimes make imbalanced. I think about the rhythm, but of course I feel sometimes this. I feel the pleasure sometimes. I feel I know what it feels like if someone has look at these two fragments arranged in this way. But I try to keep away from that feeling and never let myself submerge into that pleasure. In that way, I can arrange the pieces, can create a certain effect which I didn't know. If it is successful for a certain audience, it can create a certain emotion which is new. Okay?
Ja, Ihre Frage da hinten bitte.
So your question at the back?
Mr. Hong, Swantje Stein from Reuters Television. Question for Mr. Hong. The men in the film are being shown in a not really flattering way. How much self-criticism is there in it?
A lot. It's very healthy to criticize oneself sometimes. Yeah. So I try to use the material which are seen in an honest lens, but I have to be honest about myself too. So I always put some material from myself when I use the material from others. With that balance, I can have a good distance from the material.
Your question, please.
Susanne Gottlieb, Uncut Österreich. Ich hätte eine Frage an
Susanne Gottlieb, Austria. I would like to ask a question to Kim, the lead actress. I mean, you said, nobody's qualified of you to love anybody, you can't love anybody, and we see all sorts of different constellations of love in this film. At the beginning, there's this woman who says he has to be alone, and she's only trying to find a man because that's what one does, and then you see this other guy who, is sort of sorting those beans, and my question is, to what extent is all of this that she says that people can't love justified? Is she right? Is she simply provocative, or does she not understand the different manifestations of love?
도발적이고 이해가 안 가서 한 질문이라기보다는
I believe that the question wasn't intended to be provocative, nor did it come out of ignorance. I think, this woman was still very much in love with a man from her past, the man she couldn't forget. And these were feelings that that made her ask herself whether her very own feelings were actually wrong, or whether perhaps it was reality that was different, because she experienced reality as something very cold. And if love really does exist, and if that love is to be genuine, well, then she was trying to work out what sort of attitude she needed to accept that. It was a process for her. Towards the end, there was this dream she had, and she tries to achieve a certain level of wisdom. So the whole thing was a mysterious journey for her.
Ihre Frage bitte? Ja. Bitte schön.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Bitte schön.
네, 전 두 가지를 여쭤보고 싶은데요.
I would like to ask two questions.
어떤 한 남성이 나옵니다.
In this film, there is this guy, a man in Hamburg,
와서 시간을 물어봐요.
For example, when she's in the park, this guy turns up and asks her the time, and then he comes a bit closer, and the two women disappeared or avoided him. And then there was this other man, the man who cleaned the window out on the balcony. But the people weren't aware of him. This expression, that is something which I don't normally know from your films. What meaning does this man have? Is he an audience? Is he a spectator? I myself, as an audience, thought maybe it's the avatar of the director who the actress loves, or is it really the audience that tries to get into the story to experience it? So my question is, what was the meaning of having that man there? And the second question is the story about an actress who falls in love with her director. And she's very passionate, but what she really wanted to say was, I want to live life my way. And so I wanted to ask you, the actress, the role, Young-hee, do you think she's on her way to find the passion and what she wants in and from life? And you say there is a lot of spontaneity in there. There are two sort of boozy events, and there were all sorts of dialogues around this drinking session. Could the actress have her own dialogues? Was she able to express her own opinions as an actress playing that role?
Sorry. I told someone about this subject. It's a surreal, if I don't have other words of expression. The surreal approach is surreal by definition is this, it should be avoided in all accounts, that it shouldn't be interpreted as one effect or one symbol, things like that. You know. I don't know how I came up with that idea. It's just by accident. You know, he was there, and I started using him, and then slowly became like that. And I can only say that he's asking a time in the beginning, and two female characters avoiding him. And third time, he's wiping these windows, and he's standing behind the outside window, and the window is very transparent. That element, with these elements, each person can interpret in his or her own way, I think, instead of me giving the exact explanation or symbolism, the meaning of a symbol, things like that. Second question was her statement in the drinking place is reflected. I think maybe you, because I have a close relationship with her, and I have heard about her opinions about many things. I think that those things must have been observed into myself, and it came out also, but mixed with my own ideas, my own opinions. So it cannot be said it's a Kim Min-hee's statement or wholly by Hong Sang-soo's personal statement. It's always a mixture.
But the dialogue was all written, right? There was none of the dialogue was improvised or anything.
Of course, yeah. In the morning I write every dialogue. Yeah.
Final question, please.
First of all, congratulations to a movie I very much enjoyed. And this question is a variation of these gender questions that we've heard. And this is a question to Kim and by extension to Hong, I guess. So just a couple of months ago, Kim, I saw you last time in your movie The Handmaiden that came out by Park Jang-wook. And while the movie is in many respects almost the opposite of this one, so while this one is very impressionistic and realistic at the same time, his is more like also dreamlike and mannered and perfectly done as far as the cinematography is concerned. concerned, but both movies seem to have this very, very theme of female emancipation, basically, at its heart. Is this playing into something grander going on in Korean society right now? Basically, women sticking together almost and shunning the male part of society? Or is it just a coincidence?
어느 정도 반영이 된 것 같다고 생각을
Actually, it reflects, to some extent at least, it does reflect Korean society. At least that's my view.
그 전에 만든 아가씨라는 영화와 이 영화 속에서 그 여자 캐릭터가 둘 다 우연인지 아닌지 모르겠대. 근데 이렇게 어떤
I think the question also concerned the previous film, Handmaiden, and whether that film has a lot to do with emancipation, the emancipation of women.
네, 그런 분위기가 있는 것 같아요. 한국 사회도 여성의
Well,
목소리가
I
굉장히 높아지고
do believe that Korean society is beginning to listen more to what women are saying.
시대를 반영한 것 같습니다.
And these are social trends that the films reflect. Perhaps, in conclusion, a question to Mark, who we are very happy to have on the panel after all. Mark, you have a very special approach to all of this because you have got lots of different functions in this film. Perhaps, in conclusion, you can tell us what it was like working with him. How do you got together with the director? How did you get into his orbit, as it were? And your experience and your many, many jobs during this film, what were they like and what was it that you did?
I've been on other films before too, so I have a kind of baseline of comparison, and I've made some films also. The impression I had that the way, as he's hinted at before, it's a very interesting process that I think Hong's been doing since Oki's movie, whereby there's no script to the film to begin with, and that each day's scenes and dialogue are written at the very in the morning. Essentially, he'll get up and write the scenes for the day. Which and as I was also helping out on the crew, there are only 4 people on the crew during the whole Hamburg shooting. So the 3 of us, and plus the actors, 3 of us, and also a sound guy, Jihan. So I sort of ended up helping out in terms of doing other things, like assisting director, pretty much. But so I get a call every morning at around 10 o'clock and saying, "Yeah, it's Mark, it's Hong, I'm still writing the script. I'll call back and let you know in an hour." 11 o'clock, still writing the script. I'll call, get ready, I'll call you back. 12 o'clock, okay, come, let's start. But when it was shooting, the most impressive thing to me, and I did play a very, very small role, so I knew there were some lines coming at some point that I would have to memorize over the course of 10 minutes. But the fact that Kim and he was able to, all the dialogue that she spoke in that part in the whole film, that all the dialogue is written in the morning, and she gets the sheets literally minutes before the scenes have to be played, which gave me a lot of respect for what she does and for basically all the actors in Hong's films, because it's not an easy thing, and she did great. But in terms of anything else, I don't know. I also helped. There's sometimes some issues in terms of the production that police showed up. I had to talk to the police. In Hamburg, you don't need permits to shoot in public spaces if you're not obstructing anything. So that was a big concern because you want to shoot in public parks, you want to shoot in the street, and if we didn't have tracks or we didn't have lights, it's perfectly legal to do that. You don't need permissions. So there was stuff like that, and just generally in the end, I was on set for the entire shooting, so I got a real feel for how he makes a film. And as you said, it's very as I said, I think. Probably it's very similar to many Korean films in the professionalism and the way that the film is shot, and that we shoot the scene, you shoot the scene, and they sort of watch the playback, and then he'd comment a bit, and then shoot again. It's very workmanlike, is what I'll say. I think he knows what he wants to do. The actors know what they wanted to do, and it was a matter of getting those scenes done, and then it worked, I think.
Okay. Und wir sind sehr glücklich, dass wir den Film hier
we are very happy to have this film here at the 67th Berlin Film Festival screening and competition. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. Dankeschön für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit.
Thank you very much.